All right.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Happy Friday, everyone. Today, I'm joined by one of my favorite people in this world, man. This is one of those guys that just always carried the best energy, the best vibe, always looking out for his people. Today had to switch things up a little bit and just on the fly, man. He was ready to go. There was no hesitation. Within a minute, he's like, "Man, I got you. Let's run it up." So guys, today, this call is about all of you. So Siva and myself, we're gonna we're gonna be here for 30 minutes or so and answer some questions, give you guys some feedback, and some experience, from collectively between the both of us. We've been doing this for well over, I think, 12, 13 years between the both of us. So there's a lot of experience. We've messed up in more ways than you can imagine. And so that's why we're really here, you know. So yeah, bro. But Siva, how are you today, bro? How's life?
I'm doing good, man. Honestly, it's been an abundant week in the markets. Yeah,
I've
this
seen it.
federal funds rate, like when all that news comes in, man, that volatility, it's been a crazy week. So it's been a good week in trading. I got a lot of reading done this week as well. So it's been productive on a spiritual
Mhm.
side of things of, staying consistent with some of my habits. But yeah,
Absolutely.
overall, a good week. I spent some time by the lake today, so that was nice. Yeah, man, I'm honestly just amped for next week at this point.
Let's go. No, you
Whenever
got to
the
carry that
weekend
energy over,
comes,
man.
when you used to work, you would want the weekend to come. But now that we're traders, I want the weekdays to come. But
I
how
can
about
I
you,
can
man? How was your
definitely
week?
relate, man. I can definitely relate. I'm glad FOMC treated you nicely. I caught the push up rather than the drop, so I caught the aftermath. But what are you reading, bro? What you reading?
I'm reading Wild at Heart right now by John Eldridge, I believe is the author. Yeah, Wild at Heart. Well, this is not the actual book. This is the cover, but Wild at Heart.
Yeah,
Um, the book's back there. But
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Who put you onto that? I don't think I've heard
Um,
that.
bro, it was actually somebody that we've been talking about a little bit before. Bedros Keuilian. He was recommending some books.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So
That's
Wild
why that
at
sounded
Heart.
familiar.
And the other book I'm going into next is Raising a Modern Day Knight. So it's kind of like, obviously
I see
high
you.
masculine,
Yeah,
obviously like fatherhood type books. So
absolutely.
yeah. So that's
I
what
love it,
I've
man.
been
You gotta
having.
gotta grow in all facets of life, and that's why I think it's important to have different mentors, or at least specific mentors for different aspects of and areas of life. But my week is good, bro. My week is amazing. Pretty good.
Where are you
Trading
right now?
wise, excellent. I'm actually
You're
in Chicago. I'm in the
oh, okay.
Chicagoland
All right.
area right now.
I
So
never
I'm in
know,
the
man.
US.
One week you in
Um,
Asia, the other week you're in Europe, the other week after that you're in America. So you never know with Mike.
yeah, dude. Hey, man. I just like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
I just gotta keep you on your toes, man. Somebody asked, "What's the name of the book again?" Can you drop both names in the chat, Siva?
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna type
If you
them out
could be
right here.
so kind. But yeah, guys, it's been a good week. Trading wise, setups were great. I had one little mistake this week, unfortunately, with a lot size. So that was fun. That was great. But other than that, things are pretty good. And actually, I'll give you guys, here's a lesson for you. When trading, there's a couple different things, and one thing that I obviously I have certain risk percentages that I manage, I take care of. But something that I added to, and this is, I'd say, just extra and definitely over the top. But on top of having, of course, your stop loss, and of course having just what you risk per setup, I actually added a equity protection to my account as well. So just in case, lot size slip up. Um, you know how sometimes you're trading indices and maybe you just had an extra zero. So just in case that happens, you're protected off the rip. So yeah, that was fun. I had to gain that one today. I didn't think that would happen, but every once in a while we're just human beings. So good thing is that caught it pretty quick, so it wasn't the end of the world. But almost lost a few accounts due to daily daily limit breaks just off of mistakes, but we're good then. Other than that, we're good. And that's actually going into another thing is I think that's the importance of having different risk percentages if you do have multiple accounts. That way, if you have super conservative accounts, then it's pretty hard to mess that up, even if you are accidentally 10 times over leveraged. You're still in the clear. But yeah, other than that, guys, for me, it was a good week. Honestly, outside of that, I actually somehow got back to break even for the week, so it was pretty lit. But guys, we want to dive into your questions, and I saw the first one here by Bruce Waters. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good out there in AZ. It's my brother right there, and I'll have you take care of this one, Siva. What were some problems that you ran through that brought you to this moment to be an excellent trader? So I guess highlight your favorite problem that you run into so far. So.
Man, that's such a challenging question because there's, we dive through problems on a regular basis. Like what you just said right there. It's crazy because I actually experienced that yesterday. I was on a pair and I as well, I use order box management tool and I have different templates. So I clicked the wrong template and under leveraged on a setup yesterday. So, you had the other end of the
I would rather under leverage every day of the week, bro.
So I feel you on that. But what are some of the problems that you ran through that brought you to this moment to be an excellent trader? I would say the biggest
just
thing
to get you more like locked in, because I know there's a lot of problems. 6 months, first 6 months. What was kind of one of the first things that you feel like you kind of have to overcome?
Man, money management, managing your risk on setups. My first few months was really the biggest issue was risk management, right? Risk management, really building the confidence to take certain setups, and really over trading, right? I would try to look at, even now I feel like some people think that I look at a lot of things. I really just look at whatever I feel is good, right? But at that time, it was looking at a lot of things, not having the right risk. And like you even said, having that certain plan intact. I didn't really have a plan. My first 6 months, I didn't even have a trading plan, to be real with you. I was just kind of in the market, looking for setups. Didn't have a proper risk parameter, didn't have a proper, exit parameter. Like you said, even having like an equity percentage or something, like I had none of that, right? It was just, I was a professional depositor the first 6 months of me trading, to be real with you. But I would say that was probably the first problem in the first 6 months. The certain challenge that I'm actually like, this was actually a challenge I was going through today, that I'm even having right now. So giving you the early end of the stick into the late end. It's really trusting my bias sometimes on Fridays. I'm really trying to break out of a mentality of, oh, it's Friday, the market is not going to really do what you want, or, it's not, the day's going to end soon, or, I'm giving myself reasons for setups to not play out. And I pulled out of certain trades early today when I really shouldn't have, because I'm still kind of stuck in that mentality at times.
Yeah.
So, I partial too early today, which kind of, when you partial too early, you're messing up your R to R. So that's one mess up that I did today. But those are kind of some early problems, and I guess problems that I'm facing like right now.
No, I definitely get that, Siva, especially with the trusting your trades on Fridays. And you know what? This is something for everyone to take now. Is there's a lot of things that I think we learned or we were exposed to very on in our journey, like, don't trade certain pairs at certain times, and don't trade the news. Oh man, I remember hearing that in the beginning. Don't trade the news. Oh, no. And like now I only trade news. So it's literally the exact opposite of what I used to do. And so with Friday thing, I totally get that. I remember hearing like, hey, don't trade Fridays, blah, blah, blah. And funny enough, Friday is the most profitable day for me. So I don't know, observe the masses to the opposite kind of thing. But I think, Siva, man, I mean, you got a lot of documentation, so take a look at your Fridays and it'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's analytics at this point, man. I just got to keep seeing those setups play out and my confidence will just come up. So 100%. I feel that.
100%. And if you guys are going through something specific, then definitely ask. And I know your question is more so like prevention based, right? So you don't, so that you kind of know, oh, okay, maybe not to do that. Yeah, good question, Bruce. Someone asked, how did you overcome your fear of being wrong? Over fear of being, I think you have to acknowledge where it comes from first. So it's kind of like get to the root of the problem. So where does the fear of being wrong come from? For me, it was just how the school system is developed, and also what my parents kind of expected out of me. So oh cool, like you get a 95, and it's like, well, what did you get wrong? It's like, oh, okay, great. So it's kind of that's the thing that I think we have to think about, and just being aware, like it, guys. I mean, you at least had about 13 years of programming, 12 years of programming if you didn't go to college, which is like you're conditioned to seek to be right all the time. And so I think for me, it was realizing where it came from and kind of almost like forgiving myself for having this type of impulse or desire to want to be right all the time, not be wrong. And so you kind of have to surrender. Like you kind of have to just be like, hey, it's okay. Like I'm gonna be wrong. In fact, statistically speaking, you will be wrong more than you're right, and still can be very profitable. And that's kind of where you lean into the concept of risk to reward, and you see the numbers, and you just have to draw it out. The numbers don't lie; they can't lie to you. How disciplined you are to them, that's a whole different thing. But I think combine the power of risk to reward with surrendering to the fact that, look, we've been brainwashed to do things a certain way and to care about things a certain way. And when you have those things, then you kind of just allow yourself to just trade. And eventually over time, you'll see like, cool, like being wrong actually isn't a bad thing. And everyone else also is just as wrong, if not more frequently wrong than you. So that's a couple of things that I would add to it. So about anything that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even now, and I say this on my Go Lives all the time, majority of my months, I'm only 30 to 50%. Like my highest profitable months are 50% accuracy. On an average month, I'm 30% accurate. So I am wrong more than I'm right. But like you said, Mike, it's the R to R. And, if we really statistically even look at some of the greats, and some of what they impersonate as greats, but we're not going to go there. But, the people that they put out there, a lot of these individuals would, continuously fail over and over and over again before they got an outcome, right? The story that's tossed around with Thomas Edison, how many times he failed creating the light bulb, right? So, I think, like you said, Mike, in school, we're indoctrinated the thought to think, you got to be perfect. But in reality, you actually need to be wrong and commit failures to progress. So, to me, it's like, I look at it not being a fear of being wrong. I kind of flip the bias of, okay, what can I do to improve? What did I do wrong? Right. So, you could kind of look at it as a fear, but I look at it kind of as a growth mechanism. Okay, I did something wrong. What can I do to fix it? Or where did I go wrong? Kind of alternate that thought.
No, that's perfect, bro. I love that. I love that perspective. Someone asked, how do you build self-confidence? I'll say that self-confidence, I really think it comes from repetitions, honestly. I think it does. That's a big place of where it comes from, is just doing something. One, having the confidence, maybe not even believe in yourself, but you at least just start something. You might not believe that you can get it done, but at least you believe that you can start. So I'd say there, and then from there, just going through the motions, but to almost reverse engineer that, because there's like two aspects. It's like what builds confidence, but also what maybe takes away from your confidence. And I'll give you guys a good example. For example, I haven't been to the barber in I'm like 5 days overdue on this right now. And so like I already know, like when the flow is not at where it needs to be, that confidence goes down a little bit. It doesn't matter if I'm the best in the world at something. I just know, because part of the self-image does have a connection to confidence, right? So what took away from, so it's not that I don't believe in myself in terms of confidence, it's that I allowed something that's preventable to now take a little bit away at a certain level of confidence, right? And so so what I'm getting at is what could take away from it. And then depending on what it is that you're doing, everything's connected. So if you feel like physically inadequate in whatever aspect of your life, it's going to eat up at some of your confidence, right? If you feel like you're an imposter in something that you're doing, it's going to eat up at your confidence. Um, if you are communicating and talking or telling other people something that isn't true, now you have to go and do it. It's going to eat up at your confidence. So I'd say to build it, right? To build it, put in the repetitions, be willing to go through the growth, and then be aware of what things take away from your confidence, and then really tackle those things on, whether it's eliminating certain things or people or reinforcing what needs to be reinforced. So that's what I would say in terms of confidence. So if you want to add anything to that, brother.
Yeah, no, for sure. Experience, really, like you said, it's kind of a different form of what you said, but really going through the trials and tribulations builds confidence. You see a setup play. The one reason why I'm so confident at trading news events, and I was taught this from the get-go, learning from all of y'all here in the trade house and whatnot. Even in the beginning, I was taught that news is the excuse. So, one of the main reasons that I'm profitable on news weeks is because I've been through 4 years of news events. Even if I don't trade it, I'm sitting there watching live price action every single news event. It doesn't matter if it's NZD rates at the PM or USD rates in the afternoon or Euro rates during London, right? Or pre-New York. I'm experiencing this stuff over and over and over again. So it's like, it's like, how many times did you tie your shoe before? Now you can talk on the phone. It becomes that, subconscious programming. Now you see, oh, this is a spring. I see the break of structure. Okay, I saw this a million times. I'm going to pull trigger. So it's really the experience as well that I feel is powerful with self-confidence. And the other thing I would say is not quitting. A lot of people aren't confident in something because, they kind of gave up on it. Right. But, that's where I feel like it goes even to the conversation of, what brings you motivation, Mike? And in reality, in my opinion, discipline is what brings you motivation. If you continuously do something over and over and over again, and you see progressive results, you're going to stick to something, right? Through discipline. So discipline and experience, I think, is the most powerful thing that really helped me stay confident. Like another example, the crypto markets, right? I've been experiencing these for the last 4 years. I've experienced a bear run, a bull run, and what we're in right now, which, maybe the bottom's in, maybe the bottom's not. So it's like, being able to experience, the hype of a bull run. Now I know, okay, you know what? When everybody else is hyped, that's when I need to TP everything like last time. Right. Or, when we're at an ultimate low, when everyone's fearful about crypto, that's when you want to buy. So now the next cycles that come in crypto, because I've already seen it play out, I'll have more confidence to pull trigger or pull out during the right times.
Now, Siva, do you think the low is in?
Unless if we see a debt crisis, Mike, I think the low is in.
Okay.
I'm in there.
Y'all heard Siva. I'm optimistic about lower lows.
Bro, if we hit that 8K, Mike, you already know I'm in there like swimwear, but we got Jim Cramer saying crypto he wouldn't touch it in a million years, making the public fearful, banks collapsing, SEC attacking. I think that's all fear tactics, bro. I don't know.
100%. I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I guess there's just so much money I see down there. I'm just like, we'll see what happens next. But
either way, bro, we ready. We ready.
I think at this point, if you don't know, then cost averaging is not a idea. But with that being said, someone asked, how did you manage being disciplined, having a plan, following risk reward plan, journaling, and still not being profitable. Does that make sense? So, and let me know, Zoom user, if I understood this question correctly. But are you saying that you're doing all of those things, but you're still not profitable? Is that what you're saying? If so, yes. All right, perfect. So here's the truth. And let me know in the chat how long you've been trading and how long you have been disciplined for. So how long have you been trading and how long have you kept that level of discipline? 6 months. You've been trading for 6 months, and then the discipline is how long? Or 1.5, 2.5 best. Okay. Hey, guess what? You just need a little bit more experience. I'll tell you what, 6 months in, I'll tell you what, the fact that you're 6 months in and you already understand the value, right? The power of being disciplined, the non-negotiable that is having a plan, following risk reward, and journaling. The fact that you're already this far and you're a month and a half in to just doing your best, man, I mean, you are light years away, like ahead of 99.9% of people. So I'll say, like, it's okay, like give it time, man. You know, allow yourself to experience what it's like to make mistakes. And I'm sure there's still some moments where you do break with but like there's something that's called muscle memory. And in trading, you develop your eyes, right? Your eyes become, this is the muscle basically that you're developing. And there's certain things that you do build that are almost like instinct. It's kind of like intuition. And so you just gotta allow yourself to go through the motions. There's just things that it's right times, things I must experience. So I'm not saying you need time. I don't think you need time. I don't think that's a variable, but you do need repetitions. And so give yourself the opportunity to do that. I'll tell you what, think about it like this. If you go to the gym and you might be lifting perfect form, eating to a T to create the body of a Greek god. But if it's only been 6 months, you're not going to have that body. It doesn't matter. Unless you're taking TRT and a whole bunch of other stuff. But there's none of that here in the markets. There is no juice in the markets. So it's okay. I would say that I think that one of the common mistakes is creating expectations based on time when there isn't. And if you take a look at how long it takes to have just a successful career path in what people would argue are the most valuable careers, you're talking 4, 6, 8, 10 years. So if it's something like this, a profession where you have basically ultimate freedom outside of an hour or two a day, I mean, it's all right. So it's okay. Sometimes the only thing that's left is just doing it again and again and again and again and again and again and again, without believing that you're better than you actually are. So yeah, Siva, you got anything to answer that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to chime in on that because let me just say something. If you're following a plan, journaling, and doing all of that at your 6 months to a year and a half stage, let me tell you what, you were already ahead of me when I started because I wasn't doing any of that. Like I just shared in the beginning of the call, I was
100%.
not doing that. So you're already ahead of me and Mike, right? And let me put it this way, not putting any income claims or anything out there, but I learned from Mike, from Jordan, from Mike Miles, from Zach, from Rock Hoomer, individuals that have 8 years experience in this. And I became an educator in 2 years. I started doing this full time and doing this in like a 4-year span. So because I learned from their mistakes, right? I remember hopping on Mike's calls. I remember hopping on, Jordan teaching me smart money. I never learned support and resistance, RSIs, EMAs, any of this stuff. I got given the sauce from the beginning.
That's crazy. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. And that's the reason why my, span of hitting certain levels was essentially quicker because of the mistakes that all of these individuals taught me. So now think of you, Zoom user. Now you're learning from us. right? So, and Mike, like you said, I really don't think time is something that you should ever put things on, because we all grow through a lot of things. Now, you might be having this plan, doing everything, but it's like taking notes, right? If you're taking notes, that's awesome. But how many of y'all are taking notes right now, but not even going to go look back at it tomorrow or a week later or a month later? Just because you're having a trading plan, you're following it, that's only one part of the equation. If you're not going back and going through the analytics, okay, I lost this trade, this is why I lost it. You're going back and back testing and figuring out where you went wrong. Even though, and I'm not sure if you're not doing this or not, I'm just speaking out of mind here. You can have a trading, and I know people that do this, they have a trading plan, they're doing it, but they never go back and look at their mistakes. They've never linked their account to my FX book. So how are you going to know what your strengths and weaknesses are if you're not going back and bringing that self-awareness? I always talk about this one book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And that book really talks about the importance of self, right? And really emphasizes more on self-awareness. See, trading is something, or money in general is something that is not a publicly spoken topic, right? Like, I'm not going around and telling people how much is in my bank. So, or how much crypto I have or any of that. That's not, money is not something that's spoken out like that. When people have money problems, they don't speak out like that. So majority of people are coming into this, they almost neglect the money management. They neglect, the whole self-awareness part, because in their entire lives, they have been taught to be secret about money. So a lot of people don't even want to admit that they're having certain problems in trading to themselves. So inherently are practicing insanity doing this, right? And I've seen this, with some of my students that have been here for like 3-4 years, almost the same time I've been here, but they weren't practicing these certain things like I was, right? Of going back and looking at your wrongs and seeing what your strengths are, right? So I think that's also a very powerful thing, is bringing that self-awareness.
Couldn't agree more, man. I think self-awareness is where it starts, and that's where it leads to detachment to time and results. Now, someone asked, what's the best way to manage time? 9-to-5 job and trading. Being in North America, I'm usually stuck in my day job, and during London session, I'm asleep. Asian session seems slow. So I actually did a full video. I did a training on this last week, so you can check that out on my YouTube channel. Literally, like, how to schedule your life based as a trader. But to give you a quick answer, you don't need a lot of volatility to be profitable. It's all about risk reward. So Asian session, you might be taking AUD, NZD trades, and it's like a 5 pip stop. Guess what? You only need 10, 15, maybe 20. So you don't necessarily need a lot of movement. You need the right movement. So that would be my thing. Like, if the only time that you can trade is Asian session, then take a gander at that. Otherwise, remember, you are not a slave to your job. You can always find something that allows you to continue to better what would get you out of the matrix. So a job is just a job. Your worth. I'm sure that you could go and do what you're doing now somewhere else with a better schedule, different timings. So you kind of have to weigh the options. Is this worth me changing my schedule, doing something different? And who knows, sometimes that actually will lead to more income and more flexibility, and maybe better even peace of mind. And sometimes maybe, you got to take a small cut in pay, but the amount of time and the time that you have available just might be more suitable for you. So I think it's just worth experimenting. I think that's the best thing you can do. But I'll go look for this video right now, and I'll drop it here in the chat while Siva responds to this.
Yeah, you honestly touched up on a lot of the points I was going to bring up, really. But yeah, like Mike said, finding another job that might even maybe give you better pay, or maybe you can find an at-home job, because I know there's a lot of those going around now, obviously after COVID and all the stuff that's happened. So, I know a few of my students that have done this. They've shifted their work hours so that they can participate during certain times in the market. The only other thing, because I used to, I can relate to this, because I used to work at Amazon when I first started trading, and I would have to leave my house at like 6 a.m. and I wouldn't come home until like 7. So I was almost like, with commute time, anywhere from 12 to 14 hours a day, I was out of the house. So what I did was, I would come home and I would sleep right after work, and I would get up, look at London pre-New York, set my limits, or take my trades if I've already seen them, and then I would go to work. Right. So I'll kind of work around that schedule and see what worked for me. Would I continue doing that? Honestly, waking up that, like sleeping at that and waking, it was good. Right. But so you just got to really see with what you can do with your timing. And another thing too, looking at higher time frame stuff. Right. I know Mike, be on the seconds time frames, the 1 minute, 5 minute, but he's there, live trading, right? So it's different. You're able to react differently. You can break even right away. Whereas, it's completely different. And Mike, I'm completely there with you, bro. I take entries on the same time frames, so I'm there with you. That wasn't like a diss thing, but it's different when
you're good.
It's different for us because we're there live, right? But if you're not able to be there, maybe just focus on the higher time frame. Maybe just look at that daily zone and react off of 1 hour, 4 hour time frames. You can still get ample risk to reward on those. And you could probably back test the market and check them out. You didn't have to be there live for Euro news before you went into work, right? You could have set your limit on the 1 hour time frame, went to work, and maybe your trading view alert went off at lunch. Yo, it hit my TP. Now you're there sitting in blues at work. You're lit, right? So
you're smiling.
You're smiling. So exactly. So working around your schedule and swing trading, I feel like is another valid option as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good approach to it. You can even dabble with like crypto exchange trading.
Facts.
Because it's a little bit, it's not as like precise based. You're kind of like, all right, let me throw some money at this. Oh, look, I'm up 5% on this. Let me just some out. So it's not that it's more casual, but it's less precision based. Whereas like margin trading, it's you gotta be
stocks. Stocks take a very long time, but hey, you look at the right stocks on a daily, weekly time frame, you're in there, right? So there's that too.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's a good perspective, Siva. Someone said if you could talk to yourself back in the first 6 months of your trading journey, what's the best advice you'd give yourself? We kind of answered this already, but the number one thing that I say for me would be find the right person to listen to. My first 6 months was listening to an account flipper who wasn't even an educator, just some kid who was just really smart. But he was just like, yeah, let's put 100 in and let's take this to 1,000 every week. And it was just a mess. So I think it's just being aware of who you're listening to, and then having a plan from the get-go. Like if you do have to follow a plan eventually, and every person who's been doing this for a long time is like, hey, follow a specific plan. You have to think long term. Your goal is to acquire capital. It's not really to make the biggest percentages. If that's what everybody's telling you to do that actually has results, just do it. Trust me, you're not like, it's not like you're going to figure it out in a totally different way that's never been done before. And I'm not talking to you directly. I'm just saying in general, like sometimes the newest people that think they're like reinventing, the wheel, where it's like, that's cute. Like I remember when I thought, I could cheat the game like that, but there's just certain things you got to surrender yourself to. So I say just surrender to whatever long-term plan, wherever it is that you can find and is giving you. So we can just go to the next question since you already answered that one before.
Yeah.
Someone said, oh, cool. What's up, Josh? What type of mindset should you have, and what advice would you give when passing all right, I'm gonna skip this one. I'll answer that one privately later, Josh. What were some of the best books? I'll message you directly. What were some of the best books that helped you with your mindset? Depends on where you're at, I'd say. Like there's kind of different levels. So I don't know if you want to start. You have some books that kind of like helped you out starting off, and then maybe some now.
I was gonna give a little insight on Josh's question. Are we just not allowed to talk about that period?
I mean, I'm gonna avoid it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna skip it. That's on you, bro.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, there are different types of challenges out there. So if you're having challenges with a time requirement, there are other firms out there that don't have time requirements. I'm not gonna say which ones, but there's different things out there for that. But best books for mindset, the one that I really love a lot, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah,
I
big
listen
time.
big time. Like that's an audiobook or like the audio dead ass. I tell people to listen to that every week. Like I personally listen to Outwitting the Devil every week at least once. I think it is probably one of the most powerful things out there. The fact that the book was or whatnot wasn't even released for 100 years later, like all of that, like just the sauce in there, just the weight, it really teaches you on how we think and how to avoid certain things. Because we are in that world that is controlled by that individual. So, being able to conquer the negative is how you bring positive into your life. So I think Outwitting the Devil by far is my like top of the list banger.
I put that above Thinking Grow Rich.
Oh, 100%. I have Thinking and Grow Rich there, and I only read it once, whereas Outwitting the Devil I've been through countless times.
I listened to that during cardio. Like when I was in Thailand, that's all I was listening to.
Yeah,
cardio,
yeah, man.
Outwitting the Devil. Yeah,
like when I'm driving, I don't really listen to music. Like I'm always listening to that or something Andrew Tate or something Bedros Keuilian. Like that's I'm kind of listening to that type of stuff. And then the other one that's really up there for me is Atomic Habits. Really embedding embedding that discipline into you and trading for a living. This is kind of like a trading mindset psychology type book, but I really like that one as well. Those are kind of my top. Say those are my top 3. I'm trying to think right now. Oh, and Emotional Intelligence 2.0. That one, because of the self-awareness, and I know I recommended that earlier, but I would put that up there. But yeah, by far, man, Outwitting the Devil, man, that's banger.
I think I think those books are all like must reads. I would say how you read a book is important though. Study the book instead of like reading it. Just take your time, like soak it in, and like go and execute based on what you're listening to. So oftentimes we just go through a whole book and then it's like, okay, tell me what you learned, and it's like you almost can't even say anything because you took the information in, but you can't go and do it. Which is your command for
sure. I was gonna say I forgot that too. That's something that you got to listen to as well. KT is goated for that.
A book I'd add would be Asking It Is Giving. That book on a spiritual and mindset level is very, very strong. Someone mentioned Power of Awareness in the chat. I would say that's really good, but if you're just kind of starting off with mindset and just getting into personal development, that's a book that I would not say start with. I think that's a little bit further ahead. That's not a level 1 book by any means. Also, I would say if we're going to add a little bit of mindset / perspective and business, I honestly think like Rich Dad Poor Dad is I think a really, really good book. Like as popular as that book is, I don't think there's an easier way to understand money models. That's just such a good book. Let's see. Another one that was massive for me was Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Anything Dr. Joe Dispenza, I highly encourage. And that's a good, mindset, understanding yourself. The Power of Now. I'm saying more just because I know some of you maybe have read these, but The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That one was powerful. That's a good one in terms of building confidence, understanding the power within you. So those are really good. But mindset, guys, I'll be real. If you're at level 1 of mindset, just go to Bob Proctor YouTube and have a ball. Bob Proctor YouTube and just go crazy. I think that's a great place to really create the building blocks for your mind, understanding the mind, and just having a good attitude. But I think we rattled off a whole bunch. Let's do one more question and we'll wrap it up there.
Let me just add one more trio in there too, Mike. Ryan Holiday's trio. This one really stood out to me. Ego's the enemy. The obstacle is the way, and stillness is key. I think those 3 very short books, Ryan Holiday overall has a lot of amazing books. He's really an individual that preaches a lot of stoicism and stuff like that as well. If you guys, follow Andrew Tate's content and all of that, you know how much he preaches stoicism. So, I think Ryan Holiday's books as well. Check those out.
I've read and or listened to 2 of those 3, so yeah, I definitely got my stamp of approval on that. Can you type those out, man? No, to be honest. Okay, if someone probably wrote them, so if you guys can help us out, can y'all just drop those in the chat? I appreciate that. Peter, all the books that you've actually put on here, I've tapped in with, except for Great Leaders of like Drug Addicts. I haven't read that one. But in terms of guys, if you want to be a monster in terms of discipline and just no excuses, this list that Peter dropped right here is like, that's it. Jocko Willink and David Goggins, they put it in perspective where you're like, no excuse. So if you want to tap into that just like inner lion inside of you and have someone that just has absolute ownership over their life and regardless of anything, that list right there, that's the one. That is literally the one. Those are so good. All right. So if you feel like you're under leveraging, okay. So remember, guys, there's really 2 types of things that you're doing. You're trading towards an objective. That's one type of thing, right? If there's a certain percentage that needs to be done for whatever reason it is, that's one game of trading. But that's not the real version of trading, right? Trading is an infinite game. There is no time limit. There are no percentage goals. That's real trading. Now, obviously, on route to capital acquisition, there are certain games that you can play where it does require target objectives. So if that's the case, if you feel like you're under leveraging, as long as you feel comfortable with, you have to understand a couple things. So write this down. You need to know, how many trades am I taking in a month? You need to know that. How many trades am I taking in a month? Second thing you need to know, what is my win rate percentage? What is my win rate percentage? From here, there's 2 different things. Now there's 2 things. What risk percentage are you comfortable with per setup? And the way I think about this is, if I were to go on a 3-4 trade losing streak, how much could I lose in a row before I would start to get uneasy, before I would maybe start to stray away from my plan, or actually start to hesitate and just not even take the trades? So you want to realize, what's your risk threshold, okay? And then the 4th thing is, what's your risk to reward? So there is a Excel sheet or a Google sheet or whatever you will call it that I have that I'm going to share here with you guys. And y'all are about to get blessed. So here's what you need to do. You're going to go and you're going to, everything I just told you, plug it in to this thing, and then you'll figure out what you need to be trading, like what kind of risk percentage you need to be doing. So that's your homework. Go do that experiment there, and you kind of figure it out. So will AI take over trading, or future traders won't have to learn the skill set? You have to realize that AI is currently becoming mainstream. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been running the game the whole time. So I'll just let you think about that, right? You got to think about, how do you think this market runs right now?
It's an algorithm itself. I don't think there's a person pressing buttons behind a computer. I think it's already been programmed.
So
even the world events, I think, are programmed too, man. It's 100%. Everything's 100%. Already been written.
Like we need someone to open their mouths so that it makes sense for market to do certain things. Because then it's like, wait, why did this happen? So will AI make it so people won't trade now? Remember, the markets are a reflection of human psychology. There are certain rules that were given to the masses so that they can follow them. It's just how everyone programs it right now. Do certain things. Like, everyone's going to do it. There's always going to be those that are conscious and those that aren't. Those that are in the most are not, until you decide. So will AI ever, everything's going to continue to evolve. So at one point, maybe money just isn't a thing anymore. Sure. But that's a little different. And I'll let you take this last question, Siva. And it is maybe okay. I'm having a hard time entering NAS. Then it hits my stop loss after getting profits. How many pips do you put your stop loss? So at NAS, it's points. But yeah, I'll let you take that away. So if you have like a trade
I'm having a
management
hard.
rule that you follow.
The question Lee that put in, right? I'm having a hard time entering NAS, then hit stop loss after
Yeah.
being in profits. How many pips do you put your stop loss? So I don't really look at it as, you know, I don't have like a specific point. Okay, I'm putting a 10-point stop loss or 50 points or whatever. I more look at it as a structural thing, right? You know, if you're trading, you know, just as an example, you have liquidity, the market sweeps under your liquidity, it gives a break. You're ideally looking at that candle that took that liquidity level. To me, ideally, your stop loss, you know, it shouldn't break below that low if the market is bullish, right? It should follow that bullish order flow. So I think more of leaning away from how many points should I put my stop loss. I think it's more of looking at from a technical level, does this make sense? Right. You know, I feel like sometimes people put too tight of a stop loss without realizing, oh, there's still an imbalance here. Maybe it's going to come a bit lower. So it's like looking at it from a technical standpoint too of, does this make sense for me to place my stop there? Right. I think that's very important. Stemming away from more of the points at side. Like I know all of us would love, you know, a 5-pip stop loss on USD CAD, or, you know, I've seen people take like 1-2 pips on AUD NZD and stuff. And don't get me wrong, those trades are amazing. But if you don't account for spread, you don't account for, you know, those structural things that might happen. Now you got hit out and the move happened. I think that's more detrimental. I think the most detrimental thing that can happen to you is having the right analysis, then getting hit out, and then watching the market go in your direction. I think that's probably one of the worst feelings.
It happens all the time, man. And we just get better. But yeah,
Yeah.
guys, absolutely amazing questions. I'm so happy we had this many people on a Friday night. You guys are really tapping in. And you guys can share any of the answers, all the notes that you had, share them in your chats, share the value, you know, put them out there, share them online. This information is not meant to be withheld, right? It's meant to be shared. And yeah, this will go on YouTube. You'll all get this Q&A somewhere, maybe on both of our channels. But anyways, guys, much love to y'all, and we'll see you on the next one. Siva, bro, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you being flexible and always willing to serve, bro.
Always,
See y'all
man. Thanks for
sometime.
having me. Peace.